And that's where I first learned. In 5th grade, I started to play the saxophone. I first learned how to play music on the saxophone. And then as I got a little bit older, I was in youth ministry, and all the people that led worship got too old, so they had to move away or go to college. And so I was like, well, I guess I got to learn how to play the guitar. And just out of the need, it created a moment for me to feel like I had to learn an instrument. And I worked on that guitar, and I played the guitar. And then I grew a love for the guitar, and I grew a love for music, and I just loved to create music. And I remember just having friends that like they could play all of the greatest like rock and roll songs. Like they could just rip all these solos from Jimi Hendrix or like Stevie Ray Vaughan, like all these amazing works of art. And I used to have people like, oh, Jared, can you play this song? Can you play that song? And I never really knew how to play those songs because I was so busy creating my own songs. And I love to take the chords and I love to just put them together, and I love to write and to create music and to create something that like never existed before. But with my hands, I was actually strumming patterns and I was playing chords, and that was forming music. And then my love for music spilled over into the piano, and I'm not a piano player by any means, but to just stand behind it and put music together is just an amazing thing because you get to create. And then I went into construction when I was about 17, 18 years old. And I realized that I found joy in construction because I got to make something. And I got to take a house that maybe looked very bad on the outside, but when we were done, we could walk away from it because of the new siding and the aluminum fascia that we bent and created, and the soffit that we put in and the new roof we put on. And we could step back and see the house and see that through our creative efforts, something different came about, something new came about, something better came about, something that didn't exist was there that wasn't there before. And this is the creative process. The creative process, it always has a flow to it. It always has an order to it. It always has a flow and an order. And this is why my recipe turned into blue slime. Because I didn't understand the order of cooking and baking and that those things mattered. I didn't understand that you had to, beat the egg first before the other ingredients were added, because if you don't beat the egg first, then it doesn't turn out the right way. How many bakers in the crowd? You love to bake, you love to bake, you love to bake. If you love to bake, you know that timing is everything, that the difference between something that tastes good that you baked has to do with the timing, and just 1 minute too long in the oven is the difference between a incredibly moist, delicious cake and a dry cake that nobody wants to eat, right? Because the order matters, the timing matters, the ingredients and when they are added matter, and there is always an order to creation. There is a flow. There is a flow to creation, but there's also always a friction to creating. There is a friction. There is a tension. When you put the chords together, they actually create, in music you call this dissonance. Dissonance is the friction between different notes that when they are joined together into a chord and then they resolve into another chord, it actually creates beauty. It creates beauty. Is this on? Can we turn the keyboard on? It's one thing to play. Oh, we got some organs going on here. Come on, brother. I could play a chord, and then I could play another 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 chord. Sounds strange, right? Because the order matters. Because the order matters. But if I put the order right, then it flows in a way that your ears prefer to hear it. Some strange sounds going on down there. I'm not going there again. Right? Man, we got this organ really hot. Here we go. I got to get that organ off. Right? It's because that's a little bit more pleasing when the order is right. It's not just random chords. There's a flow to the chords. There's a flow. And as beautiful as that is, I could show you, let me show you dissonance. Did you hear the dissonance? Because when you play that diminished chord, here we go. C major, F, A minor. But watch the dissonance. It's dissonance, there's tension, and it wants to go here. Music actually creates friction, and the friction, or as you would call it in music, creates dissonance, and the dissonance creates beauty. There is a creative flow. The order matters. You can't just throw any random chord in there, because if you did, it wouldn't actually create a song that you desired to hear. But there is also a creative friction, because there is dissonance, there is a rubbing, there is a tension. If you are in construction, you cannot get a beautiful building without friction. The pounding of the nails, the sweat that drips off. If you are putting a roof on or you're doing anything with concrete, trust me, there is no way you do that without sweating. There is friction. In creating, there is always tension, there is friction, but there is also function. There is the purpose in why it was created. There is the purpose in why it's being made. There is the purpose in what the Creator had in mind when it created. Did you know that God had something special in mind for you when He created you? You didn't just happen. You're not an accident. You were intended by God for a purpose, made with intention. You are formed in your mother's womb. And from that very moment, He had a plan and a purpose, a function for your life. A function for your life. And sometimes the friction is in the lack of function. Sometimes the friction that we're feeling inside of ourselves is because we are not, in fact, living in the function of what God had made us for. We are not actually fulfilling that reason why He saw it within His plan to make you. And there is a rub there inside of you. There is a friction inside of you because there is this knowing of this idea within the depths of your thoughts and psyche that there must be more.